Vedanta Swamin Hite Namani.
I'd like to speak a little bit about the importance of remembering Prabhupada, of remembering Prabhupada's Vani and Vapu. Because we were mentioning the other day that, of the two, of course, Vani is more important. We understand that. Vani, of course, means the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, and Vapu means the physical presence of Srila Prabhupada. Well, interestingly enough, the Vapu, physical presence of Srila Prabhupada, was also instructive to us, because Prabhupada is our role model. Not just to hear in the sense that, oh, it's so interesting, like we hear so many stories. No. The reason Prabhupada did these things, acted in such a way, I mean, it was obviously his pure devotion, but one of the main reasons was to set an example for us, Acharya, setting an example for us, what it means to be Krishna conscious.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about myself, but you asked how I met devotees. So I was a complete fruitarian, so we'd go to the chanting, and the chanting was nice, and we'd sit down, and everything was served on banana leaves, and they'd come around with the prasadam, and I said, no, I'm just here for the good vibes, and they said, oh, no, this is all good vibes, and I said, I'm a fruitarian, and oh, this is pure fruit, we just picked it, it was like cornmeal halva, but yeah, we just picked it off the trees, 'cause they did anything to distribute prasadam, so, I took it, yeah, that was great, never had this fruit before, but it was, it was nice getting prasadam. And then I remember one day I was hitchhiking, and Govardhan picked me up. And then he stopped to take a japa walk at this beach park called Hukipa Beach. It's a big surf spot on the north shore of Maui, northeast shore. And we're going for a walk up on this hill, and there's a big cliff, down below is the ocean and all the surfers. And so he's chanting japa, so I took my book out, Autobiography of a Yogi I was reading, and he's chanting japa, and I'm reading my book, and then it's like, oh, what book you reading? And he took the book, and he said, oh, Autobiography of a Yogi, and he took it, and he threw it over the cliff into the ocean. And he said, the book just merged into the ocean. So anyway, that was my first experience with devotees, how they're kind of fanatical a little bit.
And the fact is, as soon as Nityananda said he's coming, and that was a long time ago, I don't know, a week or so before, we just got all excited, and the whole mode changed at Taliban. We all became very nice devotees, for that short period of time,
Another time, when Prabhupada would give classes in New Dwarka, the women all sat upstairs. This was now in the new temple room. The women all sat upstairs in the balcony, and all the men, and the Vyasa was over here, and the deities were over here. And I got upstairs one morning, and I thought, well, I can hardly see Prabhupada from here, so I'm going to get a good view. So I decided to climb over the rail and out onto the little balcony that was out there, and I was sitting there thinking, well, I got a great view now. And Prabhupada looked there, get down. And I was, and so they were motioning me to get down and everything, and I got down, but I was feeling like really, really upset that Prabhupada had to chastise me like that I was so stupid that I would put myself out there, and then he's right there looking at me, get out from there like you idiot. So I was so upset to have gotten chastised by Srila Prabhupada. I went around all morning feeling so stupid until one Prabhu told me that it is all mercy whether we get praise or chastisement from the spiritual master. That eased the pain somewhat, but I never did that again.
Wanted to ask a question, but I was like stuck in suspended animation. I just couldn't get anything out my mouth. But Srila Prabhupada literally turned, like if I was sitting on the Vyasasana here, he literally turned like this and went, yes. And so then I said, and you know, I don't have the script in front of me, I transcribed it from my memory. I said, Srila Prabhupada, what do you mean by just take shelter of Radha Madan Mohan? You mean just take shelter of the deities? And Srila Prabhupada went on to quote that famous verse from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that Prahlad Maharaj speaks, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padanam, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. Quoted the whole verse very nicely. And then he spoke, the lotus feet of the Lord are none different from devotional service. So take shelter of any one of these non-processes, at least one of them. Anyhow, the doubt left my heart. I felt pretty secure. I said, I can go home. I don't have to go out and sell incense. I can simply chant Hare Krishna and be a brahmachari. But after a couple of months of doing that, I went out and sold spiritual sky incense.
So one morning right after that, after we greeted Prabhupada and walked him, you know, to his car, just watched him walk to the car where he got in for the morning walk. I don't know why we were standing by my car, but it was right next to where, it was that little parking lot that was right off the temple there, heading towards towards Venice Boulevard. All of a sudden, Brahmananda Maharaj comes running out of the temple. He had missed the walk. So he comes out and he's looking around and he sees me, and Kesha was standing over by my little Ford Cortina station wagon. Is this your car? And I said, yes, it is. He says, let's go. So he jumps in the front seat and Kesha jumps in the back, and I drove it. And we're racing down the street, and you know, it's pretty early at that time of the day, and I don't know what day it was, but he goes, don't stop at the lights, just hurry up, you know, we got to catch up to Prabhupada. So I'm running all the lights, you know, and I don't remember which beach we went to. I don't know, because back then the parking lots may have been different or something, if it was Venice or if it was a little further north, I don't know. Santa Monica. Yeah, maybe it was Santa Monica. And so anyway, he runs out there, and I've listened to the morning walk several times. Prabhupada was wondering, where's Brahmananda? So Brahmananda comes running up, and Prabhupada says, so, you're late today. And Brahmananda says, well, you left a little early today. And everybody says, yeah, Prabhupada, you left 10 minutes early. Prabhupada said, no, your watch is slow. They were joking, you know, it was really funny. Very beautiful, humorous pastime there with Brahmananda.
We go up for the darshan. I remember Brahmananda was sitting next to me, and there was a number of devotees in the room. In fact, one of the guests was my aunt, and she was older. We were young at the time. She was much older than us. So she had back problems. So she was sitting against the wall with her back against the wall, and she had her legs out. And Prabhupada looked at her and said, sit properly. Just like he says, you know, when you hear when Prabhupada's chanting japa and you hear, sit properly. So he told her to sit properly. So her legs were like, almost like a machine. She just then went into like the lotus position, but was sitting properly. After the entire darshan, after everything was over, this was her statement. She said, that was the closest I felt to God in my entire life. So she was actually fortunate enough to get Prabhupada's association that one darshan.
I left the movement in around March 1978. I became very disillusioned, and I was very unhappy. My offenses, it was my responsibility to stay in association of devotees, and I chose not to. So eventually, after so many years of trying to run away with the Hare Krishna movement, and trying to forget Srila Prabhupada, and trying to forget all the nectar that I'd experienced in spiritual life, I got entangled really deeply. I was a career military man. I did really well in the United States Navy, achieved a high rank, and my career, my professional career was skyrocketing. There was no limit. My personal life was completely imploding. I was at rock bottom. I was at the bottom of the barrel. I was going through a very, very miserable divorce. I was coming to the point where on weekends, my kids were visiting me in a special barracks, a special senior enlisted barracks that I was, Chief's barracks, at this major military base that I was at. Basically, I had hit rock bottom. I was very depressed. I was seeking out counseling and guidance. And I was talking to a counselor one day, and she said, Bob, why don't you go out and interact more and take a college course and get involved in some type of college course and you know, start interacting, and somehow or other you can get away from some of this depression or this rut that you're in. And so I took their advice, and I took this little college course from a community college right there on this this military base I was stationed at. And so one day I was doing some research in the base library. The military base had the base library, and there were books that were donated, and you know, it was a small little military library. And I was up there doing some research for a homework assignment that I had from this history class or whatever I was taking. And I was doing the Dewey Decimal System, and for some reason I was in the P's, and I was looking on this bookshelf, and I remember I saw the name Prabhupada on a book, and it caught my attention, and I grabbed the first book that I saw that said Prabhupada on it, and I brought it down, and it happened to be the teachings of Queen Kunti. And I said to myself, it might have been even out loud in the library, I know this book. And, you know, people looking around like, what's this guy talking about? And there was the Nectar Devotion up there, and there was a Bhagavatam. These books had obviously been distributed, and the Marines came in there and said, hey, we're going to donate this to the library. So I think that day, instead of doing my homework, I took back a Bhagavatam, definitely the teachings of Queen Kunti, and the Nectar of Devotion. I remember was there. I took them all back to my barracks, and I kept on reading them and reading them and reading them and saying, oh my God, Krishna, Prabhupada's coming back to me. He's calling me back. And I eventually I came back to the movement after that. This is Prabhupada's mercy. This is Prabhupada's mercy.
Jai Anilo Premadana Karuna Prachu Jai Anilo Premadana